Okay, so here's a left-hand video exercise, and I was showing this to Stephen, and I think I showed it to Justin. I know Paul got this one last year. These are just some exercises to help you change chords without getting seized up. I know that we had some problems going from bar chords to open chords. The same principles apply. You don't want to squeeze the neck. You want to use the guitar lever to push the guitar against your fingers. The thumb is only to keep it from falling off the neck, or to kind of give you a little bit of guidance onto where you are on the guitar. It's just a feel thing. You don't want to play all the time with your thumb up here because it cramps your hand. You don't want your wrist to be bent backwards like this. You want to keep it a nice natural angle. And if you practice that way, when that natural stage performance tension arrives, which happens to everybody, same thing with your right hand. If you keep everything loose in practice and really concentrate on not holding your breath and being loose during practice, then when you get on stage and you get that little extra tension, it's not going to be overwhelming. It'll feel normal, relaxed will feel normal is what I'm trying to say. This stuff is crazy. And it'll hurt you in the long run. So here's a great Spider 1 exercise, which also might be on another one of my videos, but this is a special one for you guys. And all it is you're playing a diagonal line. It can be on any fret. I'm doing it on the 3rd fret here. Looks like that. And all we're doing is we're switching the outer 2 fingers to opposite strings. Right now I'm not strumming it. I'm playing with my fingers, just like from that home position, just so I can hear them. And all I'm doing is trying to keep my hand neutral, and with very little wrist movement, just move my fingers back and forth to develop the independence between these 2 fingers that share a tendon. These guys share one tendon here, and we want to train those little muscles to operate independently. You can do it on the middle strings too. That major 7 sharp 5 chord sounds groovy. Anyway, when you're practicing this, you want to very slowly. You can get a feel for how each fret position feels, because the frets get skinnier as they get higher. Of course, later on down the road, this is a good vehicle for learning how to do sweeps and things. It's fun. Okay, so when you're playing bar chords, and I notice some of you guys really squeeze for bar chords, you don't have to. If you're using the tension of the guitar correctly, for example, if you're playing an E-shaped caged system bar chord, so there's an E-shaped A chord, right? And if I bar it and get those extra notes, I'm getting a root, a 5th, and another root. I'm only playing 3 notes with my barred finger. So the point is, you don't have to squeeze down all these notes. You don't have to squeeze any of them. You just find the really nice optimal place on the fret, within the fret. Like this is high in the fret, this is deep in the fret. You want to go deep in the fret. And it doesn't even matter if it's a little over the fret wire, if the meat of your finger spreads out a little bit, because it'll still sound okay. And you just want to, this note and that note. Not squeezing with my thumb. And you put this part in. So I'm not barring all the way across, I'm just touching this note, and with this part of my finger, I'm touching the bottom 2 strings. It's really easy. And it makes it so your finger's kind of laying there instead of clamping. Because if you have to clamp your hand down and make your hand like a clamp, then before you move to get to your next chord, you have to unclamp it. And this process of doing this all the time pumps up all these muscles and makes them sore. So instead of going squeeze, release, squeeze, release, I'm just going play the chord, release, play the chord, release. I'm exaggerating, right? Play the chord. So here we go. I'm not using my thumb, right? Playing the chord. I'm going to release, play the next chord, release, play the next chord, release, next chord, release, right? So it's a good idea to practice playing the chord with no tension, so I'm not pushing, right? I'm just touching the strings, and you give it a little tweak, And look what happens. A little tweak. I'm just going to give it a little more, a little more. I'm barely tweaking, but because I'm a tweaker, because this is such a big lever and it's easier down here, right, where the action's higher and you need a little more leverage. When you're pushing here, you have so much mechanical advantage, and that's why the guitar is built that way, one of the reasons. So you have your, get a little resonance, you have a chance to get a little bit of portamento, vibrato out of the guitar that way. And if you're going to slide, it's easier to slide a chord if you're not squeezing, you know. And if I don't put any tension on it, it mutes the strings, right? But as soon as I put tension back on it, I'm only holding my thumb out here to show you that I'm not using it, right? So that'll save you a lot of pain. It'll save you wrist pain and arm pain. A lot of people believe that you have to really practice and get your strength up, and they have little balls that you squeeze and stuff. I think that's crap. If you have a good guitar that's set up correctly and your fingers are conditioned from playing, that's the part that needs to be conditioned. Your muscles need to learn these micro movements. Your body needs to learn how to do this. It's even easier if your guitar's on a strap and it's in a good position. If you have a teeny belly, it makes it easy too, because you can like use your belly as the fulcrum, but you don't need it. I've never had one of those bellies, so that's some really good left hand secrets. There's a lot of other left hand exercises. This spider exercise turns into other things. It turns into those kind of exercises. It turns into chasing exercises. What was I doing? Those kind of things. Also not squeezing. The only difference is I'm pushing. So I'm going to erase that part. Maybe I won't, I'll leave it on. But that's where the things come from. If you don't press hard on the guitar, this is my final word on this in my disjointed speech here. If you don't squeeze hard on the guitar, life will be easier and you'll learn things faster. Don't hold your breath when you're doing things with your left hand. It's a natural inclination. When you get to the creative, right brain start and you're learning new things, sometimes you resist a little bit because your logical mind is trying to talk to your other side of your brain, and people tend to don't. Just breathe through everything. Am I in the right position? Is my hand relaxed? Is everything relaxed? Is there any tension anywhere? And remember the 3 points of listening. When you're practicing, think about what you're going to play it, and then listen to what you just played. And you can listen from all those 3 places. You can listen before you play it and think about what it's going to sound like, hear it in your head. Then you can listen while you're actually playing it, or you can play it and listen to the resultant, the music that's coming out of your guitar. And at each point, this is only during practice. This isn't when you're actually performing most of the time. You can evaluate what it sounds like, and if your evaluation of what you want it to sound like is close to what it is after you've played it, then you're getting there. And your ears are going to improve as you play. So you're going to be a harsher critic of what is acceptable for you. And don't worry about it, but if it's not exactly perfect, don't let that stop you. And if you have to abbreviate a chord, like don't worry about slash chords in the chart or anything like that, because if you're playing, for that example, that B minor chord, if you're going from A minor to this B minor, it doesn't have to be a bar chord. You just go from here to here. And the bass player and the rest of the band will take care of all that other stuff. It's not your job. You don't have to worry about it. More to come.